Hey, I'm Rodney. Thanks for clicking on my video. Okay, this right here, this piece, this is the documentation for this piece right here. Oh, I'm going to find this. You can see, I'm not sure if you can see the hole right there. You should be able to see the hole coming through right there. That's the hole. So what's going to happen there with that is that I'm going to put a spot of water-based glue on that to hold that there. So that'll be what that is. So this is the documentation of this piece. This is a piece that is a remembrance of the story about the collector who had one of his children thumbtacked a calendar to his painting. Excuse me. And he was asking me about it, and I told him that I thought it was a great thing because now it was a part of the history of his family because his son did that. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this piece. Carefully take that out so we don't do any damage with that. And then there's the piece right there. Okay. And so okay, so that's that. Now this will get a spot of glue, and this will be returned there, and then we will see what happens after that. Okay, this piece is finished. It's pretty difficult to see this. It looks pretty interesting right there. But anyway, this is the thing. That's where the tack part is sticking through the back. There's the tack right there. So it's covered on the inside. So it's covered with this tissue paper, and then it's wrapped with string, and then the whole thing is taped up. So that's the piece, and it dangles really nicely when there's no sideways motion to it. It's just the weight's just carrying it. It's a very pleasant motion. It's a little fast right now, but when it slows down, it's there's a piece I missed on the top. I can see it in the reflection. You might see it. It's the top right there. Right there, I missed it. But anyway, that's what that piece is like. And this piece right here, that's the piece. So it's dangling from this makeshift thing, my new dangling device, which is actually pretty cool. that's where I store this drawing table, and so I made it dangle over the side, and then that's what takes care of that. So that worked out good. I like the way that worked out. So that's fun. So that's the piece right there. So that piece would be so that piece right there that's rotating would be placed inside some sort of a container for shipping. And the shipping container, this is an experiment I did when the first one. It was I had an object and I put it into this package and then made the package to where it had to be destroyed in order to get into the package to retrieve the object, which the object has been retrieved. But there's a little tiny window there where you could see what's inside up to a point, whatever that small window would allow you to. So that's the way that piece that's dangling will be packaged for shipment, so that when a person receives something in the mail, they have to make these decisions. Do I leave it the way it is because it's a signed piece right there, so if I cut it and destroy it, then it's no longer a signed piece. That particular piece is out of the collection. So people have to make this decision what to do. The piece on the inside is a signed piece in the collection as well. It's just a different one. It's just now you have two signed pieces. One, which you have to determine to break into to get the other one, which in case you're going to destroy it. So you have a nice little thing to think about there. So I'm Hello Rodney. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye. Okay, well this is the first attempt on this, so I think we'll start this face down. Now there's a hole right there. There's a hole right here in the paper. Awesome. If you can see it. Anyway, there's a hole in the paper, so I'm going to see about aligning that hole up with where the bullet entered. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close enough for what is happening here. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to fold this. I moved it already, but that's what's happening anyway. So this is going to be kind of a, never tried this before. But I think I kind of know what I'm doing in my mind anyway. Okay. was telling you about is right there. So that's kind of close. The hole I was telling you about is right there. So that's kind of close. It's kind of close. So that's going to be the piece. I'm not going to do anything more with it than that. Okay. Now this right here. Okay, that's the piece right there. And you can see that Elvis is in there. It's funny. And there's the bullet hole that's pretty close. Okay, so that's going to get taken care of as well. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. Okay, this piece right here. This is the monitor that was shot. There's the hole right there, the bullet hole right there. Then there's the place where the bullet protruded right there. That's a really interesting thing right there. That's really terrific. The bullet's still inside there as well. There's that wire. That's the hanging mechanism. Okay. So this goes on top of this cake pan, cookie sheet thing, whatever it is. This goes on top of that. So this goes on top of this to protect the bottom of the piece. So that's a protection underneath there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this. Makes sounds. It's a communication device of some sort. They'll figure it out when they open it in 10,000 years. Yeah, sure thing. Okay, now I do not like to use tape on this kind of thing, unless I'm going to do a whole tape thing. So since I'm not going to do a whole tape thing, I'm going to do this other thing. Now the thing about the Elvis thing, the reason that it was an Elvis thing is because that's what the fabric was. The fabric was there from some project that was from a bygone period. I don't even remember what I used it for. But I had it, and then I thought about this project, and so that's what it became. It could have been anything else. It could have been a totally different thing. Now I'm happy, very happy that it worked out the way it did, because that bullet shot, depending on the angle, would have been the interesting thing about that. So this piece right here is now pretty much tied. Okay, now the monitor and the cookie sheet protector, which is also going to be misconstrued as some sort of mechanism for communicating somehow. Okay, so that's that. So then this piece right here is the Elvis piece, okay? Okay, so now I'm tying this Elvis piece to the monitor which saved the music. The sound that cookie sheet makes is the sound of that bullet hitting that monitor. So that's that. Okay. So this little object right here, this is the two cans that were tied together. There's a bullet hole that goes through both cans. And this is the little object that was on top. I found these cans in a dumpster along with this little object here, and that's what made the colorations. So this little object is going to go right here. It's going to go right there. Now on the base is the mechanism for the communication. Then the monitor, which saved Elvis. Then the image that was the proof that Elvis was saved by the monitor. And then this is the cans of paint that were used for some sort of reason. I don't know why. With this object on top, and that relates some way yet to be determined, yet to be exposed. So that's that, and now that gets covered. It's interesting that bullet hole came out right there. Look at that. Pow! Entered right there. Hit at the very base of the can. Okay, interesting. So now that gets covered. These are the cans with the little Mighty Mouse looking thing on top. Minnie Mouse, but it looks like Mighty Mouse. So that's that. Okay, so there's the pan on the bottom. These two are together already. Okay, they've been attached. These two have been attached. These three actually. The mechanism for communication and protection combo. Then there's the monitor inside with the bullet hole. Then there's the Elvis right here with the bullet hole that shows either it glanced, went through his hat, no harm, or it would have gone directly into his brain. The monitor blocked the brain shot. That's why the monitor's there with the hole in it. And the little dimple in the back, that shows where the monitor protruded out, gave him a black eye, but protected his life. This right here are the two cans that are responsible for the painting that's on there with the little Mighty Mouse. That was something, has to do with something. I don't really know yet. I know what it is in my mind, and so that's going to be left up to you folks to figure that out, because I know what it is, but you have to figure it out on your own. Now, this piece right here, this was a piece that was in the thing. This was in the package. Well, what would we call it? I don't know what we call it. That was a fake out. Okay, this right here, this piece of fabric was wrapped with the Elvis because I was thinking that there were going to be 2 cans of paints and that each can of paint would react differently to each piece. And that's actually what happened. But after I saw what happened with this piece, I decided not to use this part of that original idea. But because this piece right here actually had an effect on the way the paint affected the Elvis piece, this piece is going to be included, but it's going to be included as a piece itself because it's part of the piece now. So without this particular piece in what I'm sending or what I'm making, whatever the term is at the time in history in which you're watching this, this piece right here is going to be a part of the original piece because it was a part in the original one. And so for me, what would I possibly do with this piece after I've already made something that was related to it? So it has to go with the original piece. So that's what I'm doing now, is making this part of the original piece. And the thing that will be on display or whatever would be at this point would be what you'll see next. And this is what it's going to be dealing with. Okay, so that's the piece right there. It's a pretty large piece. It actually looks like some sort of a volcano kind of a thing. So that's the piece that was the piece that was wrapped with the Elvis, which is the last piece on the inside of this piece. It looks like Hawaii. Yeah, that whole thing, that experience with Elvis happened in Hawaii. I'm beginning to remember it all right now. This is cardboard that I had from the grocery store. Lights, camera, action. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Okay, that's Elvis in that box. The Elvis thing. And we'll put that just in case. That's what I think is in there, Elvis. Okay. So that's that. So it goes to the next step. Now, somebody tell me that these lights aren't awesome. I mean, this is professional here. So this is what's going to happen with this Elvis package. It's alright, it's alright. We're going to color this with a little bit of coffee. See how that works out. I just think the whole thing is fascinating. It looks like a giant, looks like some sort of winner of a who can make the biggest pastry contest. Gingerbread and icing. So that's that piece. Now the final piece of that will be the actual shipping container, and the shipping container will be treated very differently as well, and the shipping container will be the actual piece. So the piece that you see there, that piece over there, that is not a, that's a finished piece as well. So we'll say goodbye and say goodbye until tomorrow. If tomorrow is 10 minutes or 10 days. So that's kind of fun. All right. Okay. So it's drying. It's an odd thing. Wow. Kind of reminds me of this thing when I was a kid. I remember there was this, it was like a geography lesson. I think from the Amazon, someplace like that. And the people there lived in this thing called the Maloka, and it kind of looked like that. It was like a, the walls were short here, and it was a high roof. It was a very high roof. The walls over here, like a person could stand up over here. And it was about, probably it could be about that big. Maybe this is a little small in scale, but close enough. I still remember that, and that's what that reminded me of when I saw that. That's what it reminded me of. Thinking about this, and it's almost like boxcars, like two big giant boxcar doors. You know, doors is a more probably more accurate proportions. That would be a very short boxcar. But the boxcar doors, it looks like that to me. I think that's a very interesting, I'm not sure metaphor would be the right word, but I think that's fascinating. I think the whole thing is taking on a little bit different dimension right now for me. But this whole thing is going to be, it's almost going to be like a reel, a movie reel, where each of these is one frame, 2 frames, whatever it would be. Each side is like a separate frame, because if the thing is cut right down the middle, and the documentation on the top and the documentation on the bottom were both accurate, then that is one frame of the entire piece, however long it's going to be. Right now, that's the first piece, so it's only about 5 feet long. But there's going to be, I think there's going to be like about 20 feet of this particular design. So there's going to be four of these, or 8 doors. 8 doors, or one, I don't know, one closed object, or the doors opened, something. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be interesting, because those pieces are going to be replications. So it'll be, they're not going to be, the next ones aren't going to be circles. This is it for a while. What you see right there, the information there, that's going to be what I'm going to be dealing with. And then there can be right here, there can be a, where is that piece right here? This piece right here. This piece which was off of the lid. You have some piece like this. This piece can be added. A large piece like this can be added. Here's the piece underneath. That's the piece 4 feet high. That piece can be added to the structure. A piece like that could be added right to the center. That would be the full length. It'd be like static within that structure. But it'd be an interesting static. But it would make things a lot different. One of the interesting things about this piece is that it has, each of these pieces has a particular definition. It's cut in half. It has what it has. Everything is right there. So the repetitive quality of this particular series of work is going to be quite interesting, because the viewer, you, the person that's watching this, you're the one that's going to be making up a story about what you see here. Because there are all kinds of different shapes involved in this. Now, I'm not going to take credit for trying to manipulate anybody on what these shapes mean, because that's not what I'm doing. This particular thing that you see right here was something that I did weeks, maybe months ago. I was doing this design thing, and I was looking at it to try to figure out what it was meaning. And so I was looking at this and was thinking, what should I do? And I just looked at this and say, well, I'll just do this. So that's why this is happening. So anything that you as the viewer receive out of this piece is something that's in your own mind. So there you go. These videos give you a reason to pretend. Maybe that's it. Oh, pretend. Oh, pretend Oh, 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 yeah. Ah, this is really a nice piece. It's done by a Tiwa guy, young guy. His father said he's the youngest guy in this museum in Santa Fe. He makes these Tiwa, Santo Domingo. Traded for it. Traded my work for it. That's yellow. Look how yellow it is. That's the evening setting, I think, on the thing I found. That's more like evening light, I think. I'm not sure. I was looking at that thing. It's kind of funny. But the fascinating thing about this is I'm starting to look at it more and enjoy it more. Is that since the pieces will all be the same size, they'll all have equal value within this structure. So if you have one piece, then that would be, if I was a collector of this particular work, I would have at least two pieces to get the top and the bottom documentation, because that's actually a piece out of the linear history of this piece. This is Vanworth 01. So they're all numbered all the way around. So that it's good to have the documentation right there on the piece. And I think it's going to be fascinating when the pieces start to become broken up. Okay, that signature right there represents the entire piece. The entire piece. So that's the piece. This is the west side. The left side. This is the right side, the east side. The side with the two circles. I was looking at it with that being the bottom. And then it's signed on the bottom here. So this one could be the bottom as well. Well, that's the first one. 1:24 a.m. 1:24 a.m. Wow, 5:1. Okay, well, this is the first one. Now, what I'm doing here is showing this particular piece. And this piece right here is the first piece in this new collection of work that I'm going to be doing. And it's kind of an odd piece. Because it was done previous to my even thinking about this collection. It was what was on that canvas for a long time. And so I just went with that, and that's what it turned out to be. Now, I went into it and added yellow to this circle. I added blue to this one, and I added red to this one. So it's basically a red, yellow, and blue. It's a balanced piece as far as that goes. Now, the way the piece is signed, it's signed here at the top, 01 with my name. Okay? So, because it's signed in the middle, that means that's the signature for the entire piece. So that's the signature for the entire piece. Okay. Now here, you have a signature 01. And that's for this half. That's approximately what that looks like right there. And then there's another one on that side, and that's about what that one looks like. Okay, that's 01 as well. So there would be, that's what that is. Then on this side, there's a signature that's just sign it if the piece is in this direction, more of a landscape. I'm not a landscape, a portrait. Whereas that's more of a landscape. And then there's the same thing on the other side. Okay. Now, the piece can be cut in half. That's one section, that's one section. So it's really a diptych in this form right here. Because each of the pieces are definitely signed to be cut. So if they're cut, that piece right there and this piece right here are of equal consequence relative to the collection. You know, they don't lose anything by being cut. They're just cut. They're just separated. Now, the pieces can be further cut, which makes it an interesting thing, and they have to be cut across the horizontal part in the middle there. So you basically, it's being cut into quarters. So that's like a quarter right there. It's basically the quarter right there. And you get the drift on what's happening with that. So the piece can actually be broken down into quarters. Okay? Now, the piece can also be broken down into eighths, because the piece can also be cut from this corner right here to this, from this point right here to this point, making that top part right there just with the half circle, the dome shape right there. That's what that would be. It would just be the white part of that would be the top, and the dark color would be the bottom of that particular piece if it was an eighth. So you can cut it. It's like one piece. It's a diptych. It could be a diptych. It could be 4 pieces. It could be 8 pieces. So that's the kind of the interesting thing about the collection, is that even though nothing's going to be perfect about this collection, that's obvious. But a section, one of these double circles, it makes like a couple of bubbles connecting right there. That's basically going to be the proportion and the size for all of them. So it's almost like they're puzzle pieces and they could become interchangeable.